quick recap. How do we add and subtract numbers in scientific notation? Pretty much it's make sure that the exponents are the same. So if you notice, this is a 6 and this is a 6, so we're good. We can just do this. Add the 5 plus 2 is 7, and then we keep the exponents the same. Now, if it was subtract, if it was 5 times 10 to the 6th minus 2 times 10 to the 6th, we would just subtract, and it would be 5 minus 2 would equal 3 times 10 to the 6th. So we keep our exponents the same. The trick is when your exponents or your powers are not the same. Well, this is a 3, this is a 2. So what do? We have to make this into 10 to the 3rd. So how many times do we have to add to 2? We have to add one more to it, which means we move our decimal 1 to the left. And so it's 0.6 times 10 to the 3rd. But after we do that, we have our exponents the same. So 8 minus 0.6 is 7.4 times 10 to the 3rd is our answer. So that's the good thing about adding or subtracting exponents. You just have to make sure that your exponents are the same. You take your smaller exponent if they're not the same, like it was on number 14, and the number of times, well, however many you have to add on to the exponent is the number of spaces that you would move it to the left. Now, for number 16, we'll take a short break here because we need to remember how to multiply. Also, I'd like to cover division 2. There's 2 basic rules. Multiply your front numbers and add the exponents. So our front numbers are 4 times 2, so that makes it 8. And then we add our exponents. 4 plus 7 is 11. And then you just make sure that it's in proper scientific notation. We've got a number that's at least 1, but it's less than 10, and it's times 10 to a exponent. So that's proper scientific notation. How do we divide? You divide the front numbers, so 9 divided by 2 is 4.5, so we've divided our front numbers. Subtract your exponents, that's how we divide exponents. 9 minus negative 2. Now remember, 9 minus negative 2 still follows this rule because we're subtracting, would be 11. So it's times 10 to the 11th. And then you just make sure the decimal is right. Is it after your first non-zero number? Yes. If, for instance, after you got done dividing, it was like 0.1 times 10 to the 2nd, you would need to move this over 2 times, and then if you moved it to the right, you would take 2 off of there and be like, oh, 1 times 10 to the 0 power. Or if it was like 0.23 times 10 to the 17th, I need to move it once to the right, so I would need to take 1 off of this, and that would be 2.3 times 10 to the 16th. So that's just a brief recap of multiplication and division. Let's hurry up and get to number 16. That was our story problem. Farmer John had 1.4 times 10 to the 3rd acres of land. Then he sold 1 times 10 to the 1st acres to his brother. How many acres does Farmer John have now? Well, pretty much you take your total and you subtract what he sold, and that would give us how much he has left. For instance, if he had 10 acres and he sold 1 acre, he would have 9 acres left. Well, this would be the same as if it was 10 acres. I mean, it's not really. In fact, it's 1,400 acres, and this is 10 acres, so it should be 1,390 acres after we're done. But let's go ahead and keep it all in scientific notation. And what we learned from was, since our exponents are not the same, I'm going to have to add 2 to it. So this is going to become 10 to the 3rd. And because I had to add 2, I'm going to have to move it over 2 times. And so that's what it becomes. After we subtract it, we need to subtract our front numbers. 1.4 minus 0.01 is 1.39, I believe. And then we just keep this the same. And that's the same thing as 1,390 acres, the same way that this is 10, and the same way this is 1,400. So 1,400 minus 10 really is 1,390. I use smaller numbers though, just that way you could get back into the groove of doing these.